morning, Utah. This is Senator Howard Stephenson.
And Representative Greg Hughes.
And you're listening to Inside Utah Politics, Setting the Record Straight, where we bring you 2 hours of red meat radio as an alternative to those sissy Saturday morning garden shows. Good morning, one and all. We have Chase Everton running the board this morning, keeping us on the air. We have videos where you have the cartoonist drawing the cartoon very rapidly in front of you. UPS
did a series of commercials nationally where they drew pictures and then filled in, and yes, I'm familiar with it.
The Iron County Republican Party had one produced. We're going to find out how that came about. And you know what it's on? The Caucus system.
Yes.
Protecting the Caucus system. And you watch that thing. It is such a clever way of doing things. This is as professional looking as any you've ever seen. And there are a lot of them out there. But it's all about why the Utah caucus system needs to be protected and preserved, and what it has accomplished over the years in essentially making Utah the best managed state in the nation by ensuring that we're not just a state that sends our primary winner, the guy who can or gal who can have the most money, the slickest advertisements, and the
Yeah, and we've talked about this on a number of shows, and it's even going to be discussed in today's Republican state convention. But, we have primaries as a party. It's not as if this process has eliminated the primary, and we've had good primaries. However, the refiner's fire of meeting those delegates that come from every precinct in this state is an incredible experience. And I think it's, this is just the elite trying to get away from having to slum it with the average folk. That's all that this whole effort to do away with caucuses is about.
We're going to Mr. Blake Cozzens from the Iron County GOP. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Blake, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Tasting, 1, 2, 3. Tasting. We have a technology glitch.
How about now? Are you there, Blake?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you so much for joining us. I saw the cartoon. Is it called a cartoon?
It's called a whiteboard animation video.
Okay, a whiteboard animation video that was as good as any I have ever seen in defense of Utah's caucus convention system for nominating people to the either the primary ballot, or if they get a certain percentage, they go directly on the general election ballot. Tell us, first of all, who you are, your background, why you got involved in this, and then we'll talk about the whiteboard animation.
Yeah, so my name is Blake Cozzens. I'm the chairman of the Iron County Republican Party. I was recently elected at the end of April. Previous to that, I served as the vice chair for the party. So the people that created that video, we got a group together in our county party and created that video because we feel passionate about the caucus system. We feel passionate that it allows anyone to serve in public office. You don't have to be wealthy. You don't have to have a lot of name ID. You can serve in public office and not be beholden to the lobbyists or special interests, and you can be beholden to the people and the grassroots.
You can actually be poor. You can be not without a lot of money and still become elected because of your stand on principles.
Blake, let me ask you a question. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that the only reason I am an elected official is because of that refiner's fire and that opportunity to run in a convention. I actually, in my first election, had a primary, but I ran against a deeply entrenched deputy mayor of Sandy City, someone who was well connected, and I was an absolute newcomer to politics. And
he wasn't even smart enough to come to me, his senator, and say, "Hey, will you endorse me?"
Howard supported my opponent. I was a nobody, but that convention allowed me the opportunity to get to know people within that legislative district, plead my case, and receive enough support that I could continue on. Absent that process, there would have been it would have been a hill too high to climb. And so I think that and there's no bad fruit to this. Utah is not in a bad place because of it.
No, in fact, we're the best managed state in the nation. I truly believe that our status as a budget balancing legislature, as the best managed state in the nation, as a state with responsible county government, I believe it's more due to our nominating process than any single factor.
I would agree. Blake, let me ask you this. I found your video for the first time on Facebook. Tell
people how to get to it.
Yeah, please give the listeners an idea of how they can see this video, the different ways it's out there, and then I'd like to know what kind of response you've seen from your efforts.
So one of the ways you can get it is just you go to YouTube and search Utah Caucus System, and it should come up. If it doesn't come up there, you can go to ironcountygop.org, and it's on our front page there. There's also a whole bunch of information on how you can learn more and get involved in the caucus system. We've got various articles that have been written from Aaron Gabrielson, Fred Cox, tons of a wealth of information on the caucus system, so you can learn more and be involved in that process. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out, the state party recently had a poll done by Y2, the company run. That's partly owned by Dave Hansen, who's a part owner in the Count My Vote coalition. So I think there's a large conflict of interest to begin with there. But I also wanted to point out one of the questions in that poll that they're not bringing to the front is, I believe it's question 12. It's 2/3 of the people polled said that they're fine to keep the 60% threshold.
Great. And
so
is that delegates?
Important, and I think that we should keep the 60% threshold today at the convention, because the more primaries that you have, the more lobbyists have influence, and the more big money has influence.
So is that a survey of state delegates?
That was a survey of those. It was either state delegates or caucus attendees.
Okay.
One of those two. I can't remember exactly.
That's good news. So tell us the mechanics of getting that whiteboard animation created. It is so fascinating. I've watched it 3 times because I was fascinated by the process, much less the message.
Yeah, so it was an intense process. We, as you know, I've been on the state central committee for a while now. I've been involved in these debates, and it's been something I've been very passionate about. I'm 23 years old, and I haven't been involved in politics a whole lot of my life, but it's a system that I see as very valuable the time that I've been involved, and a system that I see as keeping special interests and lobbyists out of politics and keeping the people in charge. And I think, like, you're exactly right, that it's the reason we're the best managed state. So what we did is, as soon as I became chairman, we started working on this video. We got a group together. We drafted a script immediately. We hired a company out of St. George, Utah called Y-Draw, and we got to work right away. And they revised our script, cut it down, and we went to work. We gave them ideas for imagery, went back and forth with them, and within 2 weeks we had the video done. It took a lot of hours, and I appreciate all those who helped us with it, because they sure did put in a lot of hours, and we got it done. We wanted to have it done for the convention, and they're supposed to be playing it here today from 9:30 to 10 in the main convention hall.
Oh, so they will play it in the convention hall for the whole audience?
Yeah, let's talk to Jeff Peterson at the state party, and he said they're going to be playing it.
Oh, that's cool. So what does it cost to have, how many minutes is it?
It's 2.5 minutes approximately. It's just under 2.5 minutes, and it cost us $4,200. And I just got word from Davis County Chairman Chris Kimball, and they are going to give us $500 to help with that effort. Right now it's been the Iron County Republican Party that solely funded that, so I really appreciate her coming through on her party to help us fund that, because it's a large expense for our county, and we really appreciate that.
So it's roughly $1,500 per minute, roughly.
Yeah, exactly.
So what? How long did it take to actually draw that 2.5 minutes? Do you know?
Well, we gave them a deadline of the 16th, and we started on it about the first of the month. So the first thing we did, we had to get the script ready. So they really drew it in about a week. We gave them revisions, imagery ideas, and we critiqued it. We had a good team of people who critiqued heavily for us and gave good critique on it. So they really did a good job of giving us a good turnaround and making sure we got that done in time for the convention.
Well, I have to say it is very well done.
It really is. I appreciate your efforts. To preserve this caucus system, Blake, it is going to absolutely require smart people, young, smart people like yourself, people that get involved, who've seen this process firsthand. I think that some of the delegates that I work with, I have a mother of 5 who's an emergency room nurse, and she is just such a great woman who I just met because she wanted to get involved. I didn't have any prior experience with this person, and they're just the faces of our delegates, people that decide to they are not radical, they are not crazy, they really represent this state, and it takes getting that out to the public and making sure they know that system is accessible to everyone and only works if people participate in it. It's all hands on deck right now. We all have to protect that process, and you have done yeoman's work in helping that happen.
Thank you.
You're exactly right. And one other thing I wanted to point out is, and this is addressed in the video, but they always say that if we raise the threshold, we'll increase participation. And that is completely false. If we raise the threshold, it will decrease participation. Right now, they say that there's 540,000 Republicans. But last year in the primary, which was a very high turnout because we had Mitt Romney as our nominee, well, he wasn't the nominee at the time, but he was going to be the nominee. There was about 120,000, I believe, that voted. So only 120,000 voted in that presidential primary out of 540,000. You can also look at the municipal election. Very low turnout. So the turnout is blamed on the caucus system, but the fact is the caucus system has been in place since statehood, minus the 1937 to 1947 where we went to a direct primary system and turnout actually dropped to 10%.
Wow.
So it's actually worked very well. I think we need to make sure that we keep this caucus system so that we actually keep the participation that we have.
Tell us one more time how to find the video.
So if you go to www.ironcountygop.org, it's right there on our front page. You can also just go to YouTube and search Utah Caucus System, and it should come up there.
Well,
it will be under our website there as well.
Blake Cozzens, Chair, Iron County GOP, thank you for joining us on Red Meat Radio, and thank you for your great leadership in the party.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, isn't that an interesting whiteboard animation? I love those things. They just keep your attention because, I mean, you can't look away. You want to see what he's going to be drawing next.
And what that video screams is it didn't surprise me that Blake is young, and that he's trying to find a way to communicate these large ideas. And, being in your 20s, being part of what, in education we call the technology natives, those that understand how to grab people's attention, how to convey it through social media, through YouTube, through websites. It's going to take that. It's going to take everybody from all demographics who have been a part of, who've participated in the caucus system, and have found out how accessible Utah politics can be to the average guy. I'm going to tell you, the big secret here is that this is an elitist power grab who are tired of having to slum it with the common people. This is not a convention full of radicals. You go to that convention today and you watch. Everybody has their mix in their groups. I mean, look at the Obama campaign and the Romney campaign and each other's attack on the fringes of each other's party. You're going to have that inherent to the political process. But in a convention, you absolutely have mainstream Utahns who participate and get involved. And I like that more people came and were involved in the last caucus system. I think it's healthy. We should be doing it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And in fact, it really concerns me that we may raise the threshold and thereby create more primaries. Because if somebody can only get 31% of the vote or 33% of the vote, I don't know. I think those delegates, they ought to be respected for having sat down with those candidates for sometimes 2 or 3 hours and weighing us in the ballot.
I want people to pay attention. For those that want to get rid of the caucus system or circumvent it, look how many rich people's kids are on the list of supporters of getting rid of it. I'm telling you, there's a lot of power brokers and there's kids who'd like to quit going to caucuses.
Yep. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Numbers USA, Roy Beck, about immigration and which Utah congressional delegation member may be the swing vote. You're listening to 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker.